that he summoned a council at Constantinople in the year 383, though the Second Ecumenical had but just propounded its creed, which was to attempt to devise articles of union. Ulfilas attended it, but only to find himself branded as a heretic when emperor and council agreed in maintaining unaltered the Constantinopolitan creed. The distress which he must have experienced perhaps hastened his end, for in the same year he died. There were not wanting, however, ardent disciples to carry on his work. The Goths remained Arian, a fact which greatly influenced their subsequent history, inasmuch as it introduced an important difference between them and the Catholic inhabitants of the empire which they overran. The Arian dominion led the latter more and more to look for help to the emperor and the pope. Yet the Goths were for the most part merciful conquerors and sovereigns. The capture of Rome by Alaric, king of the West Goths, sent a shudder throughout the empire. Many thought that the end of the world had come. But the conqueror gave orders to spare the churches and those who had fled to them for refuge, while the treasures of the cathedral church were openly carried to a place of safety. And when, after his early death, his successor Ataulf married Galla Placidia, the daughter of Theodosius, and showed himself friendly to the conquered race, even the Romans began to see the promise of a better time. In Spain, the invading Goths brought over to Arianism the Suevi, earlier settlers, who had adopted the Catholic faith which they found there. The Vandals, who had been permitted by Constantine to settle in Pannonia, had there been converted to Arianism by missionaries of the West Goths. But unlike their teachers, who everywhere treated with forbearance the Catholics under their dominion, the Vandals bore a fanatical hatred to the adherents of the Nicene faith, and persecuted them wherever they had the power. In Africa in particular, especially when they were led by King Hunneric, they inflicted all imaginable outrages upon the Catholics and their churches. A conference which Hunneric brought about between orthodox and Arian bishops had no result, except to stimulate the Vandal king to fresh violence. After the death of Hunneric, the persecution continued under his nephews Gundamund and Thrasimund. A milder period followed the death of the latter, but this period was short, for in the year 533 the Vandal power was overthrown by Belisarius, and the African province, weakened and desolated, was restored to the empire. In the middle of the 5th century a large proportion of the Teutonic tribes who were dominant in western Europe belonged to the Arian confession. This state of things was however completely changed by the conversion of the Franks to Catholic Christianity. Chapter 14.